My friends, if you have ever had a blood test come back with a creatinine number that is higher than it should be, and your doctor said to watch what you eat, I want to ask you something. Did anyone ask you what time you eat breakfast? Not what you eat, not how much protein you eat, what time, or whether you eat breakfast at all. Almost certainly, the answer is no, because the connection between skipping breakfast and rising creatinine levels is one of the least discussed findings in kidney nutrition research. But the research is there, and it is more consistent than most people realize. A 2024 cohort study published in the journal Kidney and Blood Pressure Research, the EKI City ISSA CKD study, of following 922 people with established chronic kidney disease over an average of 5.5 years, found that people who skipped breakfast more than 3 times per week had significantly faster progression of kidney disease than those who ate breakfast consistently. This was after adjusting for age, blood pressure, diabetes, and other known CKD risk factors. Breakfast skipping was an independent driver of kidney decline. Today, I am going to show you why. Not just that the connection exists, but the exact biological chain that links skipping breakfast to rising creatinine in people over 60. And I'm going to show you two specific breakfast foods that interrupt that chain at its most critical point. Stay with me because the mechanism behind this finding involves something your body does every morning that you have never been told about. And once you understand it, you will never skip breakfast again. Before I explain the mechanism, I need to make sure we are on the same page about what creatinine actually is. Because most seniors who have been told to watch their creatinine level have never been given a plain language explanation of where it comes from. Creatinine is a waste product. Specifically, it is the waste product created when your muscles break down a compound called creatine, which is used by muscle tissue as an energy source. Every day, a small, fairly predictable amount of creatinine is produced by your muscles and released into your bloodstream. Your kidneys filter it out, and it leaves your body in urine. When your kidneys are healthy and filtering efficiently, your serum creatinine stays within a normal range. Because as fast as muscles produce it, the kidneys clear it. When creatinine rises in your blood, there are two possible explanations. Either your kidneys are filtering less efficiently, a kidney function problem, or more creatinine than usual is being produced by your muscles and entering your bloodstream, a muscle metabolism problem. Most people with kidney concerns are told it is the first explanation, kidney filtration efficiency. And that is often true, but there is a second mechanism that is almost never discussed. And that second mechanism is directly connected to what happens in your body when you skip breakfast. Here is the mechanism. And I want you to follow this carefully because every step of this chain has been documented in peer reviewed physiology research. When you wake up in the morning, your body has been in a fasted state for 7, 8, in 9 hours, however long you have been sleeping. During this overnight fast, your blood glucose has gradually declined. Your brain and vital organs need glucose to function. And if no food is coming in, your body has to get that glucose from somewhere. The primary stress hormone cortisol, which peaks naturally in the early morning hours, is responsible for managing this situation. Cortisol is released in a surge between 6 and 9 a.m., specifically to help your body mobilize energy. And one of the ways it does this is by breaking down muscle tissue. According to the Stat Pearls review of cortisol physiology, published on the National Institutes of Health platform, cortisol induces catabolism in skeletal muscle by stimulating proteolysis and inhibiting protein synthesis. That the amino acids released from that muscle breakdown serve as substrates for the liver to produce glucose through a process called gluconeogenesis. Essentially, the liver making new sugar from broken down protein. Now, here is the kidney connection. When muscle tissue is broken down, creatinine is released, not just from the normal, low level daily turnover of muscle, but from the additional cortisol driven breakdown that occurs during a prolonged morning fast. If you eat breakfast within 1 to 2 hours of waking, you interrupt this cortisol driven catabolism. You give your body the glucose it needs. The breakdown signal stops. Creatinine production returns to its baseline level. But if you skip breakfast and extend that overnight fast by 3, 4, 5 more hours into the morning, your cortisol remains elevated. Your muscles continue to be broken down for fuel, and the creatinine released from that extended breakdown enters your bloodstream and arrives at your kidneys at a rate higher than their normal baseline. For a person with healthy kidneys and plenty of filtration reserve, this added burden is manageable. The kidneys clear it, and the serum level stays within range. But for a person over 60, whose kidney filtration capacity has already declined with age, or for someone with established CKD, that additional creatinine load arrives at kidneys that are already working at reduced capacity. The result is a serum creatinine reading that is higher than it would have been if breakfast had been eaten. Not because the kidneys got worse overnight, because the muscles produced more waste than usual, and the kidneys could not clear it fast enough. Now, this mechanism explains the pattern that three independent research groups have been finding. A 2023 study published in the International Urology and Nephrology Journal from the University of Seoul found that middle aged and older people who skipped breakfast had significantly higher odds of having CKD compared to those who ate breakfast consistently. And importantly, the researchers found that this association was not fully explained by metabolic diseases like diabetes or hypertension. Breakfast skipping was contributing to kidney risk through additional pathways beyond the ones doctors typically track. And a 2022 study in Frontiers in Endocrinology, examining 26,888 subjects at health checkups in Japan, found that skipping breakfast was significantly associated with the prevalence of proteinuria, protein appearing in the urine, which is one of the earliest signs that the kidney's filtration barrier is being stressed. The association held after adjusting for multiple clinical risk factors, and the 2024 EKCity cohort study confirmed the pattern longitudinally. Not just higher creatinine at a single point in time, but faster loss of kidney function over 5.5 years in people who regularly skip breakfast. Three independent studies, three separate populations, three consistent findings pointing in the same direction. Skipping breakfast is not neutral for your kidneys. And for a senior over 60 managing kidney function or creatinine levels, It is one of the most avoidable morning mistakes in this entire series. Now, I want to explain why this matters more after 60 than at any younger age. Because the mechanism I just described affects everyone, but the consequences are significantly amplified in seniors. After 60, two things happen simultaneously that make the cortisol muscle creatinine chain far more damaging than it was in younger years. The first is sarcopenia, the age related loss of muscle mass that accelerates after 60. Seniors already have less muscle than they did at 40. Less muscle means a smaller creatinine producing reservoir under normal circumstances. But it also means the muscles that remain are more vulnerable to cortisol driven catabolism because they have less reserve to absorb it. A shorter fast produces proportionally more creatinine damage in a smaller muscle mass than the same fast would in a younger person with more muscle. The second is reduced kidney reserve. GFR, the filtration rate of the kidneys, declines naturally with age. The average 70-year-old has a GFR significantly lower than the average 40-year-old, even without any kidney disease. This means the kidneys are filtering at lower capacity, and any additional creatinine load from extended morning fasting has less reserve to be absorbed before it shows up in the serum reading. Smaller muscle mass producing a disproportionately large creatinine surge from an extended fast. Lower kidney filtration reserve to clear that surge. These two mechanisms compound each other, and both are characteristic of a body over 60. This is why the IKI study found its strongest effects in older participants, and it is why a senior who skips breakfast 3 or 4 mornings a week may be doing more damage to their creatinine trajectory than they realize. Not from their diet, not from their medications, but from the clock on the wall. Stay with me, because the two foods I'm about to show you are not chosen for general nutrition. They are chosen specifically because they interrupt the cortisol catabolism chain at its earliest possible point, before the muscle breakdown can produce the creatinine surge we have been talking about. Food number one: eggs, eaten within 90 minutes of waking. The primary goal of breakfast for kidney health is to interrupt the cortisol driven muscle catabolism as early as possible. The moment food, particularly protein, arrives after the overnight fast, insulin rises. Cortisol's catabolic signaling is suppressed. The muscle breakdown stops. Eggs are one of the fastest acting complete protein sources available. 2 to 3 eggs contain all 9 essential amino acids and approximately 12 to 18 grams of high quality protein, enough to signal the body that the overnight fast is over and catabolism is no longer needed. For kidney health specifically, eggs are also low in phosphorus relative to their protein content compared to many other high protein foods, making them particularly well suited for seniors managing phosphorus levels alongside creatinine. The Journal of Renal Nutrition has identified eggs as a breakfast protein that delivers muscle protective amino acids without an excessive phosphorus burden. Eat them within 90 minutes of waking, not 2 hours later after coffee and errands. The cortisol peak is sharpest in the first hour after waking. The earlier the protein arrives, the earlier the catabolism signal is interrupted. Food number two: plain, unsweetened Greek yogurt or kefir, if tolerated. Greek yogurt and kefir both provide whey and casein proteins, a combination that research has shown produces a sustained amino acid release into the bloodstream over 2 to 3 hours compared to the faster release of egg protein alone. This sustained release matters specifically for kidney health because it provides a more gradual, gives continuous anti-catabolic signal across the mid-morning period, the window when cortisol, though declining after the initial morning peak, can still drive a secondary bout of muscle breakdown in people over 60 who are managing metabolic stress. A 2021 review in Nutrients found that dairy protein, specifically the whey casein combination, was superior to many plant proteins for anti catabolic protection in older adults because of the combination of fast acting whey and slow releasing casein covering a wider protective window. Plain, unsweetened Greek yogurt or kefir without added sugar or fruit syrup, alongside two eggs, gives you an immediate anti catabolic signal from the eggs and a sustained protective cover across the mid morning from the dairy protein. For a senior managing creatinine and kidney function, this combination is among the most targeted breakfast choices available. One important note: Greek yogurt and kefir do contain potassium and phosphorus. If your doctor has given you specific limits on either, check with them before adding large servings. A small portion, half a cup, is appropriate for most seniors without severe restriction. Let me bring everything together. Creatinine rises when the kidneys cannot clear it fast enough, but it also rises when more creatinine than usual is being produced. Skipping breakfast prolongs the morning cortisol surge, which drives muscle breakdown, which releases creatinine into the bloodstream at rates higher than the kidney's declining filtration capacity can keep pace with. Three independent peer reviewed studies in Seoul, in Japan, and across 922 CKD patients followed for 5.5 years have all found that breakfast skipping is associated with worse kidney outcomes, independently of diet, independently of medication, independently of every other risk factor that was measured. Eat breakfast within 90 minutes of waking every morning. Not a large breakfast, not a complicated breakfast, two eggs and a small portion of plain Greek yogurt. That is enough to interrupt the cortisol surge, suppress muscle catabolism, and give your kidneys a creatinine load they can actually manage. And the beautiful thing, my friends, is that this change is free, it is fast, and it starts tomorrow morning. My friends, leave me a comment right now. Tell me, do you eat breakfast every morning or do you sometimes skip it? Just tell me your honest pattern. I read every single comment. Now, before I go, there is something I want to leave you thinking about. We have talked today about how skipping breakfast raises creatinine through the cortisol muscle catabolism chain. And we have talked about how eating protein early interrupts that chain. But there is a specific protein food that millions of seniors eat at breakfast, thinking it is helping their kidneys, that actually sends a phosphorus load to already stressed kidney filters every single morning. And most of them have never been told. Next video, I will show you exactly which food it is, what it does to your kidneys at the filtration level, and what to eat instead that gives you the same protein benefit without the phosphorus cost. Make sure you are subscribed and the notification bell is on. I will see you there. Until then, my friends, take care of your body. Start tomorrow morning. Good night and God bless.